second question?
The second question I have is, in 2015, shortly after the president said that some Mexican immigrants were rapists and criminals, you said that that language was racist and hateful. Do you still believe that today?
Well, I'm actually glad you asked that, because for about the first 4 weeks of the election, I was watching CNN and I was naively believing some of the headlines that I saw on CNN. And
reading headlines, that's fine. I just want to know if you also personally still believe that.
I'm actually not going to read the headlines. So I very quickly came around and supported the president. In fact, CNN hired me. I was on many 8-on-1 panels where I proudly supported this president, who I believe is one of the best presidents, if not the best president this country will ever have. But I would encourage the individual who did that analysis of my past, rather than focusing on me, he really should be focused on some of the very guests CNN chose to have on their network.
Subject matter of mystery? I mean...
Yeah.
Kayleigh, in a previous life, before you were press secretary, you worked for the campaign. And you made a comment, I believe, on Fox, in which you said President Trump will not allow the coronavirus to come to this country. Given what has happened since then, obviously, would you like to take that back?
Well, first let me note, I was asked a question on Fox Business about the president's travel restrictions. I noted what was the intent behind those travel restrictions, which is we will not see the coronavirus come here, we will not see terrorism come here, referring to an earlier set of travel restrictions. I guess I would turn the question back on the media and ask similar questions. Does Vox want to take back that they proclaim that the coronavirus would not be a deadly pandemic? Does the Washington Post want to take back that they told Americans to get a grip, the flu is bigger than the coronavirus? Does the Washington Post likewise want to take back that our brains are causing us to exaggerate the threat of the coronavirus? Does the New York Times want to take back that fear of the virus may be spreading faster than the virus itself? Does NPR want to take back that the flu was a much bigger threat than the coronavirus? And finally, once again, the Washington Post, would they like to take back that the government should not respond aggressively to the coronavirus? I'll leave you with those questions, and maybe you'll have some answers in a few days. Yep.
Kayleigh,
Thank you very much.
Kayleigh, how sick of polls are people in New Hampshire right now?
Probably very sick, especially when they see that Donald Trump is #2 and doesn't deserve to be there.
Okay,
Look,
what do you think of the Trump excitement? What do you chalk that up?
I appreciate his boldness, and I think some of his rhetoric got the base excited, but it is not welcome rhetoric. Look, the GOP doesn't need to be turning away voters and isolating them. We need to be bringing them into the tent. Donald Trump is the last person who's going to do that.
They're sending people that have lots of problems, and they're bringing those problems with us. They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists, and some, I assume, are good people. I want to make clear I don't support what Donald Trump said. I think he said something very inartful, very inappropriate. However, he was hitting at a real issue in this country.
Well, let's talk about that then specifically. His stance on immigration, what is it, and is his stance the stance of most Republicans?
I think that the stance of most Republicans is we've got to plug the border, but I think the mainstream Republican does not want to send the illegal immigrant back to Mexico. I think that they're here to stay. That's not the American way. We're not going to ship people across the border. There has to be some path to citizenship. Donald Trump has shown himself to be a showman. I don't think he's a serious candidate.
Kayleigh, this is your guy. He's #2 in the polls.
Hey, I don't want to claim this guy. Donald Trump, if we're going to be honest, is a progressive. He supports eminent domain. He's supported tax increases before. He's donated $300,000 to Democratic candidates. So the fact that the Republican Party is now having to claim him is both unfortunate and, to me, inauthentic, because this is not a true Republican candidate. And the fact that he's being portrayed as such in media is troublesome and not accurate. They say that he said all Mexican immigrants are criminals and rapists. He didn't say that, by the way. You can go back and look at the statement.
No, he didn't say that.
He said when Mexico sends people, that's different. But people try to paint him as racist, as sexist, but he benefits from that because people are tired of this politically correct culture where you have to say everything perfectly correct or else you're going to offend an entire segment of society.